Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing yet another movie review for you all. This movie is a horror film from Australia, English language, released in the year 2024, directed by Sam Curtin, and this film is called Beaten to Death. So Beaten to Death is a very minimalistic film. We start off with a man that has been brutally beaten up in a farmhouse by a bigger individual. We don't know what's going on, but we realise the situation is dire. So the guy that is getting beaten up ends up escaping, and he seeks refuge at another farmhouse, but to his horror, his level of pain is only going to get worse, if that's even possible. So whether he lives to tell the tale is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Beaten to Death. As far as Australian horror is concerned, the low-budget independent scene is definitely the place to be. Australian cinema, it's always been my criticism. You've got these studios that interfere with what the director wants. It's always watered-down, made-for-TV crap that's not daring to push the envelope. And so when it comes to Australian cinema, I'm just really disheartened because it's a lost art, being able to horrify an audience. But then when you come to the lower budget independent market, you think of Wolf Creek, Hounds of Love, Killing Ground, Snowtown, movies that dare to really push the sense of endurance, to really push the limits of the audience. And these are movies that are actually made for people who are true horror fans. So low budget independent cinema, as far as Australia is concerned, is the reason why I really wanted to check this movie out. And after finally being able to watch Beaten to Death, I will say that Sam Curtin is one of the most exciting directors to come out of Australia in a very, very long time, because he understands what it is to produce a truly horrifying experience. This is a movie that is very ugly, very nasty, very, very painful. The violence in this movie doesn't allow you to disconnect yourself in a way where it's entertaining. This is an absolute endurance test. This is a movie that was just so gut-wrenchingly sad as well, because the movie is daring to give you individuals. And when you don't have fuzzy faces in the background that are just lambs to the slaughter, it makes the violence even more impactful. So the director, although it's a very, very minimalistic film, not many characters, not many settings, it still manages to produce something that was very sympathetic and a lot of emotion thrown in there, because this poor main character is going through such hell, and I realised that the situation he's brought himself into, he was just completely out of his depth, and now it's gone from bad to worse. And so he's painted characters in a very realistic way, which makes the unflinching violence even more high impact. And so that's what I loved about this movie the most, is that I thought the trailer, yes, it was going to produce a brutal film, but it was just going to be, characters that were templates of destruction, just, seeing people being horribly brutalized and nothing else. But when you got characters that you can actually really feel for, that violence just becomes truly disturbing. And the movie never allows you to disconnect yourself, because it's not overdoing it as far as gore is concerned. There are some scenes that are incredibly hard to watch, but it steers clear of glorifying that violence. It steers clear of making that violence cathartic. It just makes that violence feel as though you're being hit as well. And so after a while, I just wanted this man to get out of this situation, but the movie's very sadistic in the way that it gives you a glimmer of hope. And you feel, okay, this main character is going towards that hope, but there is a lot of ugliness that's getting in the way, so you're never quite sure if he's going to get there. And so the film has that really sadistic, evil heart to it that I thought was absolutely fantastic, and it's evidence that you don't need a big budget to make a very effective horror film. So the movie is told through flashbacks, which makes it even better. We start off with him getting absolutely brutalised. We think, okay, what's going on here? What has made this guy so angry to basically hit him as hard as he is actually hitting him? But then as the clues are being pieced together and the puzzle is forming, you start to realise, all right, well, okay, now I'm actually gone from shock because of the violence to true sympathy, because I wanted this man to get out of this predicament. And so I thought that was fantastic. I thought the acting was actually surprisingly serviceable. There are moments here and there that are a little bit iffy, but it's a low-budget independent horror film. But I thought the acting did enough to really prevent it from being noticeable as far as, that sense of realism is concerned. I love the villains in this movie. The villains are very hard-hitting, they're very in your face, and once again, very realistic. These aren't Hollywood superstars that are all dolled up with makeup. This is very, very gritty individuals doing horrible things. And I felt as though that sense of ugliness, there was no real happiness, there was no real, sugarcoating to anything. And that's something that I wanted, this a director who understood what it is to make a horrifying experience, and this is definitely that type of movie. So you have an ending that I thought was absolutely gobsmacking. I absolutely love the way that this movie finished. I'm not going to give anything away, but it just has a tone to this film that is just really downbeat and depressing. The language in this movie is very, very high impact. There's a lot of C-bombs. And for those of you outside of Australia, you're probably thinking it's excessive in the use of C-bombs, but this is definitely how Australians are. As far as I'm concerned, I don't swear on camera, but in my private life with my male friends, we use the C-bomb all the time. And so this is, again, emphasising that sense of realism. These are characters that I could relate to because they're speaking in the same way that I actually speak, and a lot of Australians speak. And so I never felt as though I was watching a movie for entertainment purposes. I felt as though I was going through a very realistic endurance test that really never lets off. I felt as though it was a very, very downbeat, very, very brutal film that I thought was a lot better than I was expecting, and that's the reason why Sam Curtin is definitely right up there with one of the most exciting directors to come out of Australian horror. So if it sounds like your kind of thing, Beaten to Death is definitely something I would highly, highly recommend, but be very careful. It's very in your face, it's very brutal, very graphic, but if that's your kind of thing, this is a movie that is essential viewing, and as a result of that, I'm going to give Beaten to Death 4 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.